is what I would describe it as, actually. But yeah, to me, George Williams has got almost everything. And the criticism he gets from Wigan fans for him not basically producing match-winning displays every single week is absurd. He plays behind a small pack that generates very little go forward because they're built to defend, not to attack as a pack. So he has to do almost everything at Wigan whilst being put with halfbacks that is not necessarily got the same one every week, and certainly not the same one every season, and not necessarily in themselves creative players all the time. I just think he does so much for Wigan. To criticise him is nonsensical, but in Jackson Hastings we're kind of getting the same sort of player in terms of skill set, in terms of his ability to produce and create for a team basically off his own back most of the time. I think the one difference between Williams and Hastings, and one reason why people like Hastings but criticise Williams, is that Hastings appears confident on the field. He appears commanding. You can see him gesticulating. So he doesn't just talk, he points and shouts and points and drags people around, which obviously is more visible then, isn't it? That is controlling the game. And then when his kick to the corner comes off and a try gets scored from it, you can see as a fan that he's orchestrated it. And his confidence, or apparent confidence, is the big difference, I think, between
You've got to have
Williams
confidence to have that hair. That hair is only worn by someone with extreme confidence in their abilities.
It's terrible, isn't it?
It's so bad.
See, when people talk about being a great decision maker,
not
always. But I think they're very similar players.
If he was a great decision maker off the field, he wouldn't be going to Wigan next year.
Well, he wouldn't be at Salford right now.
Exactly. That's why. Yeah.
I think it's a good move for him, and I think it's a good move for the club. And I'm pleased that we've replaced Williams with someone who's got a very similar skill set. Just waits to be seen how long he's in that side. What I'm not sure about his ability to do is help progress and bring on the other young halves that we've got coming through, like people like Harry Smith, who are going to be the longer term succession in those halfback positions. So hopefully he'll have a positive influence there, because I know that's another thing on Williams, is he seems not really a teacher as such, or an instructor. So
he is only 24 though.
I'm not criticising. I'm not saying it's a fault. I'm saying it's one of the things that he gets criticised for, because I actually think he leads by example, and people should watch what he does on the field, and how he, the attacks he puts on, the moves he makes, and rather than look for flaws in his game, because he's paid more money than everyone who goes to watch the team, so they feel like they can slag him off. I'm sad to see George Williams go, but I think Hastings is a very, very good replacement. You basically, the two of them together, not sure that would have worked, but look at the stats they put up, look at the sort of the amount of carries they make, the sort of the way they set up tries, all looks very similar. So I think we've got a good replacement there, who the other players will gel with quite quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. More Wigan news. Adrian Lamb will remain as Wigan Warriors head coach in 2020 after signing a one-year contract extension. The 48-year-old initially took the job for just one season and had planned to return to Australia in October. Obviously that didn't happen. Tom Andrews got in touch on this one too.
No, it hasn't happened yet. There's a difference. Tom Andrews said, from little lost lamb to Gordon Ramsay lamb shank, all that good midweek training finally paid off. Does this mean Sean Edwards to Leeds then?
Depends how flexible their accountancy firm is. No, I'm joking. Yeah. I think, look, as Wigan fan again, I think Adrian Lamb is finally starting to impose himself on the players more regularly. When we get to this week's games, we'll talk about how the players slipped away from that a little bit. But I think it makes sense. One thing about Lamb that's really impressed me is he came in with almost 1 year to audition to get an assistant's or a head coaching job in the NRL rather than just being a positional coach or a youth coach in the NRL. So that's kind of what you've got to see these guys are all doing, auditioning for bigger jobs back home. That's a natural thing to think of these coaches these days, just like the players, right? So even though that's kind of what you see as one of his prime motivations and stuff, he's been really determined to make sure the Wigan youth system still comes through. He's not been afraid to use the kids. He's not been afraid to make difficult choices with the playing staff. And so I think, and he doesn't play favourites. It doesn't feel like. It seems like he's got a good rapport with the players, but makes tough decisions when he needs to, and brings in the kids still. So I'm supportive of this. I think 1 year and then roll it over again if he doesn't get a job elsewhere, and that's how you would work it. And hopefully, if he does get a job elsewhere, it's long enough to plan during the season that you can pick up your coach for next time around and see how it goes.
Do you want a conspiracy theory on this one?
No.
Right. So I think this is insurance. This is don't look like you're completely stupid insurance. So if Wigan make the grand final, for example, and if, unbelievably given their early season performance, they were to win that grand final, this is insurance. So there's not lots of fuss about it. And, you're getting rid of your grand final winning coach. He might still have a break clause in there that if an NRL team comes calling, and there is going to be a lot of moving around and a merry-go-round this off-season, that he can still go. So I think it's perfectly plausible he could still go, but this just stops the Wigan management looking completely stupid.
I genuinely think he'll be at the club next year. I don't know if I don't expect him to be at the club any longer than that, because I would hope that he's getting the team to the higher reaches of the tables and into the playoff, into finals and that sort of stuff next year, which will make him more appealing to NRL clubs. What's Salford been up to?
Cleaning changing rooms. Salford Red Devils have signed prop Josh Johnson from Championship side the Barrow Raiders. A 24-year-old previously played for Hull Kingston Rovers and Huddersfield Giants and made his Super League debut against the Red Devils in August 2013. There you go. They've signed someone. Congratulations.
Yeah, weird decision. I mean, obviously he went straight into the side at the weekend and was involved in a winning performance. I was never hugely impressed with Josh Johnson's engine, but maybe he might see this as a second chance of Super League after having to sort of play at Barrow, which wouldn't be his first choice at all. And obviously he agreed a deal with them that meant if any Super League club came calling, he was out the door. So good work by his agent there.
Yeah. Again, it's just, I suppose, for Salford's point of view, it's nice to see him having someone coming in the indoor rather than all going out the outdoor. It sort of balances that group up a bit.
Yep. Warrington Wolves winger Josh Charnley has signed a new deal running until the end of 2022 Super League season. The 28-year-old joined Warrington in March 2018 after almost 18 months with rugby union side Sale Sharks. Our friend Tom Andrews had something to say on this too.
Yeah, always has my love from his short but fruitful stint at LKR, although I think he's become a bit of a prick on the field since coming back from Union, milking penalties every opportunity he gets. He did that before. I'm not sure it was quite as obvious, but maybe that's because I didn't see it as much. Is that because you were looking through your cherry and white tinted spectacles? Potentially, but I think he's a bit more... I can't think of the right word, but it's a bit more clear that he just, his sort of gesticulations and speaking out and that sort of stuff to me seems a lot more noticeable. Because when he first came into the Wigan side, he was actually kind of a little bit shyer off the field, and on the field you wouldn't really see him celebrate stupidly and stuff like that so much. It built up that he was a more confident player because he'd sort of learned how to hang out with celeb gossip people off the field and all that sort of stuff. So maybe that's
his whole personality growing and that sort of stuff. But I think I saw one of his very first ever professional games when he played for the Blackpool Panthers. So he had some fruitful loan spells early in his career, but he also has been very good for Warrington, hasn't he, since they came back into the side, the sport.
Yeah, he's done well for them. He's good bit of business for them, because this will be the first time they're really paying for him properly, because of course previously he'd be on a half cap having come back from the sport.
No, he wouldn't be, because it's not new talent.
I thought if you'd been out of the sport coming back in, you still were on a cheaper cap.
Oh, I haven't read that regulation in the current salary cap regulations, but maybe I've missed that one.
Well, if anyone's read the current salary cap regulations, it's you.
I have read some of them, because I've had discussions with people about certain rumours and that sort of thing. So always best to check out and try and understand things. But I don't remember seeing that. But anyway, either way, it's been impressive for them, and also the fans have really taken him to heart after really hating him in the past. So so there you go. Yeah. And it's nice for them to have a Super League winner in their side, isn't it? That's always a bonus for Warrington fans.
Yeah, they've got a couple. Jack Hughes, was he?
Yeah,
around
Jack
then?
Hughes won what was in 2013 side. Yep, at Wigan. Yep.
Anyway, speaking of someone who hasn't won a trophy, back rower Manu Mao will join Hull FC from NRL side Parramatta Eels on a 2-year deal starting in 2020. The 30-year-old, who's played internationally for both Tonga and New Zealand, moved to the Super League after 6 seasons with the Eels.
But they do like an Islander with a weird sort of ponytail situation, if you can call the little things that they have on the back there that, don't they? So
yeah, the drains at Hull FC must get particularly clogged with all that hair.
But reasonable replacement for the older players that are moving on in the back row position, I think.
Yeah, it's a decent bit of business. At 30, got at least 2 years, if not a couple more potentially.
Yeah, you'd
to
think
go in
so.
there as well. So he's decent bit of business to get him at that age.
If he has no
Speaking of Hull FC,
he's got a bit longer. Yeah.
Yeah,
speaking of Hull FC, some other news that's not necessarily confirmed news yet, but it is confirmed that it's going to get confirmed. So, Hull FC chairman Adam Pearson has confirmed that head coach Lee Radford will sign a new deal with the club very soon. Radford, who guided the club to back-to-back Challenge Cup victories, is off contract at the end of the season. However, speaking to Sky Sports, Pearson said Radford will be staying at the club, extending his stay as head coach into a 7th season and beyond.
I'm sure at least one half of Humberside is thrilled about this.
I think it's he's done well, and he has, hasn't he, to be fair? You can't knock his record, and he's got them going well in this year's Challenge Cup as well. So
and I was going to put, Sarah's point normally on this is his cup performances have flattered the rest of his coaching. And which I tend to agree with. He does seem to be in that category.
I think one of the differences this year, and whether it's been forced or not, but Hull have played some of the young players again. So that was a thing that I felt Radford was not doing well enough over the years, and it's seeing other young players still leave, like Jez Litton and people like that. So there is still mistakes being made there, I think, potentially in squad management with those younger players. But when you've seen the likes of Connor Wing get a chance, and that prop Brown, who looks a decent young player, Buchanan, the basically every position outside back, who looks like a decent find as well. I think there's if that can continue, and they actually give these guys proper goes, then that one of the things that I think is a flaw of Radford has been stick with tried and tested, even when they're really underperforming. Hopefully this is another side of him that's starting to move away from that.
Yeah. So some slightly sadder news. The out-of-contract winger JD Broughton suffered a suspected medial collateral ligament knee injury in the Catalan win against Huddersfield on Friday. Broughton, who's 31 and the fastest quantity surveyor in the southwest of France, has only recently returned from a lengthy spell on the sidelines and scored a hat-trick in their recent win over Wakefield. The former Leeds winger has been at Catalan since 2016, but has made only 51 appearances in 3.5 seasons.
Yeah, it's unfortunate